Welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP, and joining me tonight is my good man, Mr. Ryan Clifford. Good evening, mate. Hope you're well.
All good, mate. Hope you're well yourself. All good. Not really sunny in Glasgow today, so we're not really in the summer's funny stuff, I think, mate. But the Celtic rumours are ramping up, shall we call it. The links are flying again. The team are back soon as well, mate. So, all good, mate. Hopefully get a bit of football back soon. So, we're all getting our Celtic fix, mate, in the next few weeks. So, looking forward to the chat tonight. Obviously, some news today, so we'll get into that as we go on, mate. But I'm good, mate. Hope you're well as well. And what dude's watching, hope you're all well as well.
Yeah, and as Ryan says, folks, that is the main why we're all here. I hope you guys are all well, having a good week so far. You're right, Ryan. There's been a couple of things changed since we were last on Monday night, mate. As indeed, the one and only Mr. Shaun Maloney has returned to the club. Now, he's returned as a pathway manager, so he'll be taking over from Dan O'Day as a kind of go-between the first team and development squad. Personally, Ryan, having Shaun back, he's been in management, he's been involved in football, he's a real football man, he's worked at a very good level. I mean, he's worked with the Belgian national team, you know, and then he's took a couple of roles himself. Okay, maybe one or two of them, maybe hasn't worked out the way Shaun would have wanted. But again, he's flung his name in that hat. For me personally, Ryan, I think this is a tremendous move by Celtic. I really, really do. Some Celtic fans, I've seen comments earlier, it's jobs for the boys, and, you know, this seems a wee bit different though, mate. This Shaun Maloney, when you hear Shaun speaking, even when he's been on Premier Sports or he's been doing like coverage of Celtic games, when you hear him chatting, he actually speaks very well about the game. And I think he's got an idea of playing. I think it'd be an ideal, it'd be an ideal situation for some of the boys, development boys coming through, Ryan, because Shaun obviously came through that conveyor belt, mate, got into the team and managed to, so I think that experience, obviously Dan Adio offered that as well, but I think with Shaun there as well, I think that's going to help some of our young lads as well, Ryan, and I really do think this is a good move.
I don't see any negativity towards it at all, mate. I put it on my social media and Twitter. I don't understand any negativity towards it. I totally understand maybe previous roles at the club. I'm not going to mention names, but most Celtic fans will know there's certain people at the club that have played with the club before and maybe they've got a job because of that. But Maloney's well equipped. I know it's a different role to what he's been doing, but in terms of his experience and been at the club before, coming through the club, he knows the club inside out in terms of the way we want to work and the way the football, the pathway, etc. He knows how to come through the youth system. He's already managed, so he can manage players, he can coach players. It's a mix of both, experience, knowledge, and knowing how to manage people and direct people, etc., etc. So everything that he's done, playing, coaching, managing, advising, it's all going to help this role. So for me, he's well equipped. This isn't a job because it's Shaun Maloney that he's here. Because if that was the case, he'd have been here years ago as a coaching role or a pathway role or whatever. Maybe he's thinking maybe he wants a break from management. Maybe he needs a refresh and maybe he's better at something else. And maybe this could be something, JP, that this may be a job for him. This might be a job that makes him a career, not a career, but might be his long lasting career in football. This sort of role. So I have no qualms about it. Like I say, mate, some people who watch us might know I might like to be more about the board or the club or the signings or whatever, but I just think sometimes anything that's not a big money name or it's not a signing, I've seen fans saying, "Oh, Doohan signed. Where's Benjamin Negram?" Well, just relax, man. Nobody signs 5 players in one day. It's just as much. Listen, I'm one of the first to moan at signings or how we're doing this slow. Why is he not coming in? Why is this take? But the players are going back to this weekend or something. So just sometimes just embrace this appointment. It's, for me, it's a good appointment. Listen, we've all got opinions, JP. Some fans might say it's no good, and that's fine. But I've seen some comments like really a bit too far. So I'm happy with it. I know some fans might not be, but I don't see this appointment as a job for the boys. Previous ones I would say yes, but no this one, mate.
No, to me, Ryan, I think this has got a different feel about it. Like I say, we've got a guy who he's probably more. I'd say he's been in senior management role more than Darren Day has, if it, in terms of first team management. He's worked in decent environments. He's worked in good roles. Like I say, he's worked with Belgium and under Roberto Martinez. That's a fantastic setup. If MD's managed to watch the documentary regarding Belgium, and the way they run their headquarters and the way they go for youth onto senior players is tremendous, absolutely phenomenal. So I'd recommend that documentary to anybody. But the way Shaun operates, he's a very, let's say, he's a very football orientated man. I think that'll bode well with Brendan, Ryan, because Brendan's football daft, and we all know that, and he's like a sponge. And I think Shaun will help, like I say, as a real role model for some of the youth players. Now, I know we've got a couple of boys in the first team who have come through that conveyor belt. Guys like McGregor, KT, James Forrest. But Shaun will really, really help, in my opinion, Ryan, the younger ones, maybe the boy like McArdle, who are maybe on the periphery, Dane Murray, who are maybe on the periphery of maybe making that step up to the first team. Because we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's around the corner. So I really do think Shaun will play a really good role in that, Ryan. And I'm actually quite excited to see what differences it might make or how that's going to change. Because make no bones about it, mate, Shaun will be a different operator to Darren Day. So you'll probably hear more from Shaun just because he's more senior than obviously Darren himself.
Possibly, yeah. I think obviously Shaun's more experienced in terms of footballing wise, I would say, than Donaldy. In terms of obviously what he's done coaching wise already and playing.
Yep.
OD, listen, Donaldy had a good career, but Shaun Maloney went down south and stuff like the Premier League and stuff. And Shaun, in terms of experience wise, Maloney's got that on him as well. But Donald Day was obviously good at what he'd done here. To the hierarchy. So he's got a good job now with Swansea, and listen, he's ever right to go and take that because one, he's probably getting paid more, and two, he'll earn more experience down in Swansea than being a pathway coach or a pathway mentor, etc. at Celtic. So, but Shaun Maloney, JP, I think will be a good appointment, especially if he's going to be dealing with the youths and up to the first team as well. And listen, he could give the first team players advice as well. Whether or not that's going to be in his itinerary for the job, I don't know. I don't know if it's just for the pathway or if it's for youth, or he could help Brendan, he could help Paul Tisdale recruitment. I don't know exactly. Listen, we don't know what's involved in that. We only know briefly, but it is, we don't know everything that they're doing. So we don't know if he is helping Brendan behind the scenes. We don't know.
Yeah.
But he can help the first teamers. He can help anybody. He's played at a better level, some of the guys.
Yep.
In terms of, I know some of the guys have played at Celtic, but in terms of the players he's played with and the managers he's played under, he's got a lot of experience on him and knowledge, so he could help even first teamers like your Yangs or your Idas or even Jota's. I know Jota's a good player, but he's still inexperienced in terms of his age. He's not played miles of football. He's played a lot of football, but the last year or two, he can maybe help him through injuries. Listen, this is for me, it's a brilliant appointment. I've no negativity towards it at all. I think everything's all positive about this. For me, everything's all positive. IP with the club now. Like I said, I'm one of the first people to moan about. Maybe sometimes people think I'm really negative on certain players and whatever else and about the club, but on this one, I'm pretty chilled about the way we're going to put things now.
Well, we're 11 minutes just into this podcast, wee man, and you've no mentioned anything derogatory about Liam Scales or Greg Taylor, but there's time yet. Let's not
get
get above her.
then. Come on.
Let's know they're back in on Friday, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm absolutely fine with having about the club now, JP. I'm happy there's some movement. I'm happy there's links. I'm happy that this has been resolved pretty quickly. OD's only been away 2 weeks or so, or flat 3 weeks or something. So we've obviously had this in the back burner roughly if OD was going. So and maybe not always in the footballing sense we do things quickly, but we've done this pretty quickly for the new season coming in. He can then obviously help with the young players. He might even be involved in the Queen's Park game coming up for some of the youth players. He might be in the dugout, no dugout, the behind the stands. He might be in there. So who knows what this role is going to totally involve for Shaun Maloney. But nah, I'm fine, mate, and hopefully he can start maybe helping some of the youth players into the first team, because I think we can all agree that recently we've not had the best of talent in terms of continuously coming like a machine, not like a total revolving door. That's the way we should beat Celtic. For me, one youth player should be coming through every year trying to get in the first team or cementing his place in the bench or getting game time, and it's not really been that the last few years. So hopefully Shaun can be a part of that, and it can only help the club going forward, mate.
Yeah, 100%. Ryan, I was going to ask you, do you think Shaun might have been involved, or he could be involved in some of the youth, as in bringing in more talent? I'll give you an example. Obviously, young Isaac English just came from Morton to the development team. So do you think Shaun, behind the scenes, could be the guy that's maybe overseeing some of this, and he's obviously going to be a good guy as well because he's worked down south and he's played down south, so no doubt he's built up certain contacts that might stand as a good stead if Shaun was to recommend players to come into Celtics. Because we're not naive enough to think for a minute that not every player that's in the development squad is going to then make a grade, but there could be boys that we could bring in to help nurture, help the development squad, and then obviously look to make that step to the first team.
Possibly, aye. Like you said, he's got a lot of contacts down south. He knows a lot of people from down there for playing there. I'd imagine just the way, listen, I don't know Shaun personally, but the way that he speaks very well. He seems that maybe he's a bit of a, like you mentioned, a bit of a sponge in terms of his knowledge. He might be looking at football all the time. There's some people that's really obsessed with football. They watch it all the time. I know it's not a player that we all want to talk about, but I watched Open Goal with Peter Livencrantz, and he did mention that. He went, I just watch football all the time. If it's on an iPad, if it's on a phone, if it's on anything, I'll watch football. So Shaun Maloney might be like that. We don't know. We generally don't know what he's like in terms of his knowledge of how many games he watches. But I'd imagine being a manager and being involved in the Belgium setup, that he's obviously been to games to look at players, scout players, etc. So could be, mate. Listen, we don't know how long he's been behind the scenes in terms of what he's been doing. Has it been the last week, 10 days, 2 weeks? He's just been announced. It doesn't mean that he's not maybe been doing anything the last few days or whatever. So who knows? But like I say, he's only full of points, JP. I've absolutely no qualms about it, and for me, it's all positive, and it can only be positive for the young players as well. Because even though he might not be a big name now, he's still Shaun Maloney. But if I met him, I'd be like, oh, that's the guy who played with Celtic. He's won trophies, played with Scotland, playing in big games for Scotland. So he's still a big name in terms of football, in terms of what he done at Celtic, Scotland. So if I'm a youth player, I'm a sponge to him, mate. Tell me how to be the best winger, what can I do, how to better crossing, better fitness, diet, anything. That's the guys for me, JP. You should be. I know McGregor there, Forrest, etc. But guys,
You sound a wee bit like Lee Johnson there.
Lee Johnson, aye.
Try and get him on to find out what he's having for breakfast, find out what he's doing now, find out.
But the guys who have been through it, like Shaun, I know McGregor's been there in Forest, but they've got a lot of already going on themselves in the first team. They can give bits and bobs, but there's probably more time for Shaun to sit down with these guys and talk, because that's now part of his job. So he can maybe sit down for an hour or two and actually talk to McGregor, and that meeting will get 10, 15 minutes a day with him due to their schedule and everything else. So, listen, JP, it could be. It's something that we might find out in the future, but if he is, then it's another bit of knowledge for the club to have on players. So, and I'm all for it, mate.
Yeah, I think it'll be amazing experience for the development boys. I really do, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens now in terms of our youth development moving on, because we've spoke mega times on here, mate, about the prospect of we need to tweak things, because something's going wrong somewhere when, like you says, one of our players isn't coming in every season. So there's something, and we're losing boys as well. So not only that, there's an important part there of we're losing a lot of talent. Like the lad Cummings away to West Ham. So we need to now come come up with a plan that we can keep a hold of these lads, that, you know, and show them there is a. But like Brendan says many a times, Ryan, I think you really need to be good enough, mate, as well. It's not just about, you know, you might score 20 goals in a season where you're playing against guys like civil service strollers and everything else. And I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but to go and do that and then coming into the Scottish Premier League, mate, the gap is like the Grand Canyon, you know, in my opinion. So it's like asking a boy to go and play Queen of the South on a Saturday and then on a Tuesday night be ready to play Real Madrid. It's a mammoth task, mate, you know. So I really do think we need to work at that. And hopefully Shaun is that guy, mate, to take us slowly but surely in the background, to take us forward with not just his knowledge, but his ability to also encourage and bring on young players.
Yeah, I do agree with you, and it's not really your opinion, JP. It's probably a fact that I've said it on here numerous times about the reserve league and stuff not being here. And for me, it's one thing that's really, for me, it's stoked me a lot of development, because see, playing with, now I can only go on myself, playing with guys who were older than me and guys who were more experienced than me, it helped me when I was younger. So
Yeah,
it's not going to help guys nowadays who they've got all the best of facilities, they've got everything for them. And imagine playing with the guys, just say McGregor came back from injury and then he plays a reserve game.
yep,
Just imagine you're the boy Mercado. I know he's playing with them now, but being on the same park for 90 minutes, just talking to him, listening to him, seeing what he does at the warm up. Just it's these small things that you should pick up with these guys. And I don't think because some of the guys can't, because even last year, right, or 2 years ago, see even James McCarthy, right?
yeah,
They obviously it wasn't announced, but they let him go. But it looks like, right, James McCarthy could have still been at Celtic and just says, look, James, if this is if the reserve league was still here, or some of the first teamers were allowed to play in that lower league, right?
yep,
Right, James, we don't feel you're good enough for the first team or even the bench, but instead of letting you go, we'll maybe give you, if it's a half a wages or whatever, a lesser wage, but play every week in the Lowland League, help the guys, coach them on the park, tell me experiences, play with them, even train with them, help them, train with us if you want to keep your fitness up. But listen, that would help the youth players a lot, JP. Now, people might say McCarthy wasn't, and listen, he wasn't the best for Celtic due to his injuries, and listen, he done all right for us. The game, the season he played 60 odd games, he done okay in certain games he played. He was never rotten, he wasn't brilliant, he was just not the level anymore, right? A few years ago he would have been, but maybe not at that time. But to be at that level, he'd have, listen, he'd have probably stood like a salt firm.
yeah,
Just doing the simple thing, telling the youth players what to do, how to help their development. That's the sort of contract I think he would have potentially even liked himself, just to keep playing
yep,
football, JP, because when he looks at it, I don't know what he's doing, if he's retired now, because there's nothing there for him. So I'd imagine me to say, die, as long as I'm getting paid and I'm still playing football and still training with the first team, why no? I think that's the sort of thing that if they let some of these B team players are allowed to do that, the teams to do that. So just
yeah,
say the now, right? Just say, I don't know, we could just say Johnny Kenny, right? Just say 1 week he's on the squad, right, Johnny? I want you to go and play with the B team. You're not even going to get on the bench at the weekend. Go and play in the B team. Help the young guys. I know he's young himself, but he's in the first team
mhm,
and he's playing
yeah,
at a far better level than the guys. So he could help the young strikers or the young players or whatever. And then it might be in 2 weeks' time, because he's really done well. Listen, I know the level's massive, right? But his attitude's brilliant. He's maybe scored the odd goal. Right, Johnny, that's you on the bench at the weekend, because you've went and done that for the club, and I've seen your attitude, etc. Listen, fans might think I'm talking absolute nonsense, right, which is fine, but I just think what I'm trying to say is, as a scenario I'd like to happen in the future or even in the past, was let guys like McCarthy and guys who are not really playing in the first team or no even maybe no getting game time,
yeah,
go allowed to play in the B team. I know it might by only 1 or 2 of them, no the full guys are no playing, but just say McCarthy and I'm trying who else is no playing. Just say Hastabanovic at the time, right? Like used to go and play with the B team, go and help them, tell them advice, etc. Go and coach them on the park. If I'm a 17-year-old, 16-year-old JP, and I'm getting advice off a guy who's played and won leagues with Celtic, played for Ireland. I'm going to, this is brilliant. That's James McCarthy. I know it might not be headlights or Celtic McCarthy, but he's played with Everton, played with Ireland, loads of cats for Ireland, so he's no just, that's James McCarthy. You know what I mean? But don't you feel on that type, or any of the viewers or any of the Celtic fans think of that. But I just think that'd be a positive step if the league let that. No, I'm not saying 5 players, just 1 or 2 every week was allowed to come in, and because it's not about winning that league for Celtic, it's to development, and they're much better playing with the guys than just training at 5-a-sides and doing doggies or anything. That's
Well,
something we
that's the
should look
thing,
at.
Ryan. If they win the league, they can't go anywhere. They need to stay in the division. So you're not really rewarding the success of them winning the league. So if they win the league, just say it's, I don't know, Bay Trading Wanderers that play beside them, right? I've just gave that as an example. It's them that, if they finish second, it's them that go up into the kind of playoff to get up the league, because they're the ones that don't have the restriction on them. I purposely don't see any great reason why that, why the team are even in that in the first place. I really don't. Again, I'm not being disrespectful there, but obviously our good friend, Mr. Stirling, is in the comments tonight. Evening, everyone from Tenerife. Tell you what, by the way, he must be getting a wee turn on his scratch cards. Because I know he was away playing the Scotto, but I didn't realise it was a Veronica strip he was in.
That must be his new run, mate.
I reckon he's up in the Star Bar up in Costa Rica, isn't he? Sitting buying Webby a new bonnet.
Don't get that Star Bar gives me some good memories, so it's a good bar. It's a good bar to Star Bar.
Aye. That's probably where he get his drink money for to get to Tenerife. Doing the scratch cards. No, all kidding aside, Big Alan, I hope you're well, mate. Hope everything's good. There you go. Lewis Palmer's asked him to get him some Shockwaves gel. Tremendous. Is that to change a photo on his Manscaped suitcase? But aye, as I say, overall, mate, I think the Shaun Maloney, great appointment for the football club. And like you says, Ryan, I think the most important part of it all, mate, is Celtic have act quickly. Sort of down a days left, and within a fortnight of that happening, we've now got Shaun Maloney in. Are we now starting to see a change, mate, in terms of the way the club operating? Because normally we are a bit more, it's a bit more lengthier in terms of time that we wait to do this, but things seem to be happening a wee bit more quicker. Or maybe that's just the way it's coming across.
I think there's obviously things going a bit quicker because we've seen transfer links a bit quicker as well now. Last year, we were getting the last 2 weeks of the window thinking, when's Bernardo signing, when's either at the signing. That was really the only proper links we had for a while. And we were getting frustrated, I think we all were. Why is our no goalkeeper coming last year, why is our no goalie coming in? We've got this money sitting here, we're getting linked to 15 goalies. And then at the time, we're thinking, then now we've got Casper with a free transfer. As much as listen, quality player, brilliant for us. But the reaction, even for myself, is right, we've been linked to him 5, 10 million, 7 millions, right? Him for Fenerbahce, him for here, Casper on a free 38-year-old. What? It didn't make sense at the time. Now, when you look back now, it was genius, right? But I'm just, maybe it is a change of things. Maybe Brendan's got full control now. Maybe he's got his teeth in here and going, listen, if you want me to stay here, you want me to progress this club, I need to have my hands on. Because I personally, again, I'm not in the club, this is just my opinion for what I see for the outset. I don't think Brendan's had full control when he's been here. I think there's been things that's been done no for him, or that he's not to say so. And I think some of the signings have been evidence of that, and no get a strike in the January and things like that. So that's just what I take for it. I could be wrong. I don't know any information. It's just my opinion for what I see for the outset. And I think now maybe this is him getting more control, JP, because we've got Doohan in. whether you'd like to sign or not, it's all signing it in quickly. We've let Scott Ben go with somebody else in. By all accounts, Osmond and Benjamin Egan are signed. It's just whether they're getting announced. So that's free signings, whether you think they're brilliant or not. That's free quicker than we did last year, or even the year before, or
Well,
even before that.
KT and on, Ross Doohan.
KT, if you include him from the new, so that's 3 or 4 that we've not had the last how many years. So right away, there's a change there. If that's to do with David Pleat, if that's to do with Paul Disdale, or the manager, or a collective, who knows? But whatever's happening, there's more links on wingers, there's links for strikers, there's links to left. So there's, in terms of transfers, there's no smoke without fire. There's obviously agents putting feelers out, or the clubs are going to agents. So there's obviously work going behind the scenes. Links just don't appear. The media can make the odd link up, but they can't make up 5 or 6, because if they're making things up, the club is suing them. The club, listen, we don't know who that is. What are you talking about? Like, you can't make false narratives or false stories about us when it's not true.
Yeah.
So there's obviously things going on. So could be, mate. Listen, me and you are second to none about anything. We're just guys, fans talking on here, giving their opinions, and fans are giving their opinions on the comments and social media. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks, mate, in terms of getting business done. But it does look like there's a small change and something has been tweaked. Whether or not it continues in summer, who knows? But for the last few weeks, mate, you can see that there's been something changed, because there's been more movement, more transfer chat. The Loney came in. So, and for me, mate, like I says, it's all positive for me right now. Until something negative comes up, then there's generally no need to be negative. I might be one of the fans that people think to me on here that I'm negative for the sake of it, which is fine. But I've seen a lot of it recently. Or do hands in, right, hurry up and get him in. Like, just like, there's nothing to be negative about. Just relax.
We've only got what is it, just under about a week's time to obviously. You've heard him on here. You know, he's all positive and he doesn't want to be negative, folks. And you've heard Ryan say it tonight, but we've only got about a week's time to hear Ryan gargling bleach again, because Liam Scales is captain in the team against Queen's Park, and then Ryan's going to.
I was thinking we're going to go to that game, but if I see Liam playing, I'll be keeping in the cupboard that night. I'm not going anywhere.
Ryan's wondered how he's captain Celtic and he's known that cupboard again. But Anjem, we comment for Anjem. Don't you guys think the club know what's going to happen before the end of the season? Hence the reason why they're working on what appears to be a faster pace. Yeah, well, listen, we know firsthand that due to our good man, Mr. Barry Bannon, we've got an insight into how football clubs operate when they do things like that. And things are always planned, as we know, Ryan, weeks in well in advance for these things. Now, things that aren't planned, as maybe a last-minute bid coming in for Dyson Maeda, the club can maybe anticipate, you know, and like you say, Ryan, start putting feelers out with agents to say, we might lose our striker, we need another striker, recruitment team, everything else, guys are on the kind of standby with stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, Ryan, to answer Anjem's comment, we do know that is the case, because, like say, Engels wasn't just targeted by Celtic in the summer. Now, we've had that information, given that it was the window previously. Engels had been targeted, so that's a prime example of it is weeks and months in advance, isn't it?
For certain players, it is JPI, obviously. If anybody does want to have a proper insight in terms of how maybe clubs work, I know it's a while ago now, but if you watch Netflix, Son Until I Die, it shows you in the boardroom, and it shows you how they scout at that time. They had like 5 players for a position, and go for 1, go for 2, go for 3. I'd imagine some clubs, a lot of clubs will be the same. There'll be maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or even 10. Who knows? I don't know. But as much as we might be critical of certain things, why we're all going for him quicker? We are no privilege. We're only assuming that things are only getting done quicker, because we can only go by what we see. And guys like Engels, there was information about him. Maybe he's not just shot at that window there. I've seen as well that Aston Villa are going to let Louis Barry go. He was linked to us last summer. will Celtic go back in for him because he might be on the list reserves? Or listen, if he becomes available for a price, they would then go and get him, because we all know that clubs keep players in the back burner because we've seen it ourselves. We've seen his linked with guys. Now a year later we've signed them. So that happens a lot of clubs. Aye, listen, I think the way the club are moving in terms of behind the scenes, sometimes to us it looks like the new, like even me, I still think they were no quick enough on the Kyogo situation, but no every situation is like that. There might be the odd time where they've not done it properly, or they've not got a strike in, which is, listen, it happens, and I'll still be critical of that. But there's, listen, we can only go on what's in the media, JP, and if somebody tells us that they might know, or somebody hearsay on Twitter or whatever, of what you see in the media, we can only go by. Us as fans are only privileged to certain information. We don't know what Rodgers and David Pleat and Dermot Desmond and Chris Nicholson, we don't know what they're talking about. We can grasp slightly that maybe things aren't going right because we've not seen links, we've not seen movement, we've not seen bids, we've not seen anything. Then we're thinking, right, what's going on here? Why does it take so long? That's when you think, right, things are not moving quick enough here.
Yeah.
But when you see links and you see movement, you see Maloney come in, there's obviously things behind the scenes moving, because there wouldn't be all that if there wasn't. So, aye, listen, players are obviously looked at in advance. You've seen, I can't mean who it was, there was somebody was signed in the summer, or was it last summer, and he said he spoke to Celtic like months in advance. So teams are always putting feelers out. You could call it tat 'em up. I don't know if that, obviously that's not allowed, but agents will say, listen, Celtic might want you in the summer, what are you thinking? So listen, football's a cutthroat business, man. It's not always gone through the way it should be in life. But aye, listen, clubs are always going to have ideas of who they want, and if, because, well, the thing that the scenario shows you with Eddie Howe, right? We all thought, do you listen to Ange talking about on that podcast that was viral, that he said within 3 days Eddie Howe, 3 or 4 days Eddie Howe, saying not to Celtic, Ange got the job. So that's maybe one thing we can be critical that the club, when they need to move forward, when Desmond steps in and they need to move forward, they do things quick enough? Because we've seen that with Eddie Howe. So that's when maybe sometimes go right. So why we know buying somebody when he goes, it's 6 weeks later? So
It was
I can
actually the day
understand
after they
fans.
contacted Ange that Eddie Howe says no. So
So I can understand fans' frustration there. If you can get that right within 4 or 5 days, why are you waiting 6, 7 weeks to replace him? And so I can get the frustration, JP, but there's no doubt about it. Listen, they guys are earning good money, and it might not look to us that they're doing things, but they'll be doing things. And I think with all the movement as it looks like now, there's obviously things going behind the scenes, that's moving forward.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention tonight, Ryan, and bring up even in for the viewers in the comments, you can let us know your thoughts regarding Shaun Maloney and anything you think there. Is it a good appointment? Is it not? Let us know what you think in the comments. But something else I wanted to bring up tonight, Ryan, I think it'd be a good topic to go over. And I think I've mentioned this. I mentioned it on Axon when we were on there with Paul John Dykes the other week there. I firmly believe this is the case. I want to put this out to tender and see what people think. So I'll put up the banner. Have Hoops outgrown Scottish football? Because for me, Ryan, I feel that Celtic now are looking at a different level now. So I think we're looking to go a level up, as in go one better in the Champions League again, and our heads going that way. It's not a case of we're going to take our eye off the ball domestically. I don't mean that. I just think you look at what Celtic have won over the last, just say 10 years, right? If this was a computer game, it would be done. Completed. Totally obliterated. And that's what we've done to Scottish football. Now, the reason I'm asking, have Celtic outgrown Scottish football, is because of the current status of the football club in terms of finance and where the club sit financially away from the rest. Now, including this takeover or whatever you want to call it, we'll we know the real meaning of it, which is majority shareholder, but they seem to like this word takeover. And somebody need to take care of their trophy room and get rid of that bike. But that's a different story altogether. In terms of that, Ryan, what's your feeling there? And obviously we're going to touch on the Champions League and what we expect this season, what Celtic and Brendan and what the aspirations are this season. But in terms of Scottish football, mate, in my opinion, Celtic are massive compared to Scottish football now. And that season just passed in the Champions League, I think we showed, we showed that. And again, I firmly believe and firmly have confidence in Celtic to again go again and show it again.
It's probably going to split opinions, JP, because obviously we all know that the majority are down south. They don't want us down there. They might slaughter your game and they might criticise us for no always doing the best in Europe, and it's a Diddy league, it's a farmers league, but make no bones about it. Anybody can, any English fan, even any Aberdeen fans, Mirren fan, whoever it is up here, give Celtic, even them across the water, if you want to call them rivals, even them, if you give in the money that Arsenal are getting, Man City are getting, Chelsea are getting, within 5 to 7 years, even less than that, you're challenging top 8, top 6, then eventually top 4. If you're getting that money every single season, and you're maybe in the Champions League, you're getting 60,000 at Celtic Park, you can down south, you're taking away fans. Bear in mind, the prices would go up if you went down south in terms of ticket money. Season books would be higher, everything would be higher, so it's more money for the club. There you go, Scott. TV money would be even bigger for on Sky, because it wouldn't be Scottish money you'd be getting, it'd be the Monday Night Football, Friday Night Football, whatever you want to call it, on BT and TNT and whatever, Sky Sports. So everything would go up. So the two teams would be absolutely booming eventually. You would get better players coming. Teams would rather go to Celtic, even them, than going to West Ham or going to Everton. Because, let's be fair, I don't care what anybody says, we're bigger clubs than them. Far bigger clubs. I know West Ham won the Conference League and Everton's done well in the past in terms of top 8 finishes, top 6 European football. But they're no Celtic, even them. They're no. Everything, we're bigger than them in every capacity, apart from financially, and some of the players and the wages they're paying. So, outgrown, possibly in terms of financial and in terms of maybe the quality of play we can get now for the league and things like that. Yeah, in terms of financially as well, mate. In terms of like I can't remember what I said on night, but maybe £4 million for winning the league. It's not a lot of money. People might, I've seen people saying that we'd be better, Scottish football would be better without the two teams. I don't think so, because take away us two, where are you going to market Scottish football? Who's going to buy it? Nobody. Who's going to watch Livingston versus St Mirren getting 1,500 fans and a -2 night? Who's going to go to the games? Nobody. But if you get Celtic versus Livingston, Livy are getting a full crowd. Doesn't matter how cold it is or whatever.
Yeah.
The TV will be there. So right away, Livy's getting more money. Who's going to watch St Mirren Livingston? Nobody. Even their own fans don't go and watch it. So it's no marketing off either, JP. The only reason we get money in this country is because of us two. Celtic and name across the water. That's a simple fact. And obviously Aberdeen get a bit more money now. Hibs a bit more money. Hearts. Take away us two, it might be competitive for them. But the rest of Scottish football, where's the money coming from? So I would say outgrown, possibly, but we still need to win the bread and butter. Obviously, for European side, we've obviously I watched the Celtic Exchange podcast briefly the other night, and the guys talking about the coefficient things. Yes, as they called it, pretty grim. So we need to be in Europe every year. The coefficient, all these other teams need to do better. It's not just us two. It's not even us or them across the water. The other teams need to do better. So they can't get beat off of part-time teams in the first qualifying round of the conference, because that's what helps Scottish football. It's not just us that are going to be the best. But I would say potentially JP will potentially outgrown it. But we all know, mate, listen, they don't want us down there because they know within a certain amount of years I'm not going to say win the Premier League, but you'll be beating some of these teams. Your West Hams, your Evertons, even Bournemouth, who are doing well now. If we're in that league, we are attracting far better players.
Ryan, we've always done all right against English opposition as well, even in
you see,
Europe
in terms
through the
of
years.
attracting players, the Bournemouth, listen, small stadium, good infrastructure, good managers, really good players. Brian Christie's doing well down there. They've just sold somebody to Madrid for 50 million.
Yeah.
They've got good players. But see how 3-4 year teams, players will want to go to Celtic and them, Bournemouth. What? Just imagine, right? Glasgow, right? Rangers, Celtic, 50, 60,000, potential Champions League football, even if it's Europa League football, right? But think you all that, would you want to go to Bournemouth? Well, listen, it's 90. I'm only using Bournemouth as an example because they're a small club in a big league, and the only reason they're doing well is due to finance. Because of where they're finishing, they'll get more money for us even in the Champions League potentially, which is crazy, mate.
Yeah, it's in my opinion, Ryan, the SFA, I think the boy Mark, when he was on me last Friday, touched on it really well. The SFA are, their decision making shocking, absolutely shocking. You're talking about an industry that undercut themselves just in a panic to gain a sponsorship for the league. It's mental. Cool, Daddy, that's a good point. I've actually seen murmurs and comments regarding what Cool Daddy's mentioned in a few comments now about Celtic. No, there's been chat over in France apparently about inviting Celtic over to play in that league. Because through the years we know there's been chat about Dermot Desmond really wants to take Celtic out of the Scottish League. I think it's a good topic, and I've seen Celtic fans that go, "No, I don't think we've outgrown Scottish football. I think we're the biggest team in it." Well, is that no similar or very much the same in terms of you're the biggest club in it? But the way things are going, Ryan, I'll give you an example, mate. If we make this Champions League this year, I know we've got to do a playoff. Should we get by that, we're in the Champions League again. If we then do that, mate, that's going to push us even further. And I'm not talking about, by the way, I'm not just talking about them across the water. I'm not even going to mention them. But that's going to push us even further. Now, that pushes us even further against teams like Livingston, Falkirk, St Mirren, Dundee, Kilmarnock. Now, people are saying there's, I've seen fans say that, they expect a challenge. They expect Hearts to be better due to Hearts having this Tony Bloom investment now. And, by the way, he's a very shrewd man, and I do expect Hearts will start changing things the way they do it. Because Brighton have got a good way of working, so he's no a silly man, that's for sure. It'll take time, of course, to implement any change into the football club. However, over time, you would like to think there's going to be change in there. However, when you look at Celtic alone and just the way Celtic operate with the football transfer model and everything else, Ryan, Celtic they're a way ahead of everybody, Ryan. If all these teams are all making changes now, it's going to take them a couple of years now in order to gain momentum in that change and really try to establish some sort of challenge, right? Now, to say about that, mate, it's going to take... But to do that, in my opinion, Ryan, they need Celtic to stand still. And that just isn't going to happen, mate. In realistic terms, we aren't just going to go, you know what, we'll put the brakes on now, and we're fed up winning trophies, we're fed up doing this, we're fed up doing that. Let's see how many of these can catch up. I've heard Celtic fans say, these teams will be better and that. Celtic won the league with 17 points last season, Ryan. That's not just one or two. And by the way, you're talking about a club across the water who've got a similar way of working, or could have a similar way of working, should they not have people running the football club wrongly before now? But I don't even know whether now's going to change. It's all right saying that in hindsight now, but they've only been run the same way. But they have a similar setup in terms of they've got quite a big fan base, and they could have a way of working similar to Celtic, and obviously to make that rivalry a bit more stronger. You've heard guys recently saying, guys like Neil Lennon saying that, you know, the gap's massive. Charlie Mulgrew said it. These guys aren't just making this up, right? But a certain fan base seem to think we're deluded, and, you know, it's only because they beat us last season. Hearts have beat us. St Mirren have beat us. Aberdeen beat us. But it doesn't mean they're better than us. It doesn't mean that the gap still isn't monumental. So for me, Ryan, when you say Celtic outgrown Scottish football, I think you've got to look at the amount of trophies Celtic have won. What else can Celtic do? I would ask to any Celtic fan out there. I hear Celtic fans saying, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to be in top. What else do you need us to do, man? How much more of a humbling does the rest of Scottish football need to actually take from us? Now, it's for bread and butter, of course, Ryan. But I just think, personally, mate, our focus is changing. Brendan's focus is changing. Because Brendan wants to make Celtic, or wants to try and make Celtic, a European force. And we heard them speaking to James McFadden, Chris Sutton, Stan Petrov, and he says, we all know that Celtic aren't going to win the Champions League. We're honest about it. We had our hands up, and we know that's not going to happen. However, how can we know? Go and put the frighteners on teams like Bayern Munich, teams like Paris Saint-Germain. If you get things right recruitment-wise, and you do things right on the night, and you get things right tactically. Now, I know Paris Saint-Germain's a great side, but Bayern Munich's a big team. Massive. And we were a ball hair away from actually really doing the damage against them, right? So, when you look at that, mate, you've got to say to yourself, we've got a chance. Because Brendan's made the team, the guys that are in the squad, believe that they are good enough to do that. And how he does that now is he brings extra help. Boys like Negrin, Osmond, if it's Balikwisha, if it's Osagester, if it's boys that we're being linked to, bringing them in, putting them together, and let's see what we can actually build. But I just think now the concentration levels, Ryan, are far above Scottish football. I know Scottish football will always be the bread and butter, mate, but I just think the channel process and the mindset and everything, mate, will be Europe.
It's got to be Europe, JP. I've said it on here previously, even last year and before after the campaign last year. It's not just about us competing in Europe now, just be there to compete, just try and get a few victories. We've seen that we can do all right now, but it's consistency levels. We've only done it. Now, maybe I'm too realistic sometimes because of previous results, but everything tells me next year we might not do the same, because it's only been a year or two that we've been decent in Europe. Recent years, we've been getting pumped away in Europe, getting beat off teams you shouldn't get beat off, no winning game at Celtic Park we should be winning, but it's Europe, and that's just the way it is. So I'm a bit more, I've got a lot more faith in the manager now and the team, that we can go to these teams now and no get hammered, and actually go and put a result in and go and get a victory, or go and get a draw away to your bigger teams. So it's about, if you sign players, obviously, like you said there, mate, the bread and butter is the league, right? And you need to win the league, because if you win the league, it gets you the qualification for Europe, it gets you the finances for that. If you don't win the league, you need to go through the qualifiers, like the team across the water might need to do, but what they need to do in the early season, July, you're going to away to Greece, roasting weather. Don't fancy that, mate. I'd rather be here.
And by the way, It's only just a short time away. It's only like a couple of
Aye,
weeks away. It's not even that far.
In terms of us, if you aim for Europe, to progress Europe, and you buy players for that, then their players are automatically going to be good enough to win you the league. So if you go with a hindsight of trying to progress in Europe, their players should be good enough to win you the league, or they should be basically good enough to win you a domestic cup and the league. They should be good enough to do that, because if you've put it onto the European side, then automatically the competition is the same in the league, so they should be good enough to win the league or compete really up to standard in the league. So for me, it is about Europe, JP, but you can't take your eye off the ball. And I do feel last year we've done that, because when we beat off of Bayern Munich and you've seen the points total, I'm not going to question effort, but I don't think the full focus was we need to win here 4-5. We need to win. We need to go to Everton win. It just seemed a bit like if we win, right, it's only 10 points, right? It's fine, we win the league. I don't think we can do that this year, because, like you mentioned there, Hearts will be better equipped. The analysis and everything is going to be better.
We're certainly expecting them to be anyway, aren't we? Because
I personally feel they will be. I think McInnes is very shrewd. It might not be the Jose Mourinho, but he's shrewd at this level in terms of Hearts. The way that he'll set up, they'll be hard to beat against at Tynecastle. Even us, anybody, they'll be hard to beat at Tynecastle. With your home, maybe not as much, but I think Tynecastle will be hard to beat. I'd imagine Tony Bloom will help them out in terms of signings, in terms of they might get the odd play for Brighton on loan, possibly.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I'm just thinking contact books. Maybe a Brighton who's still playing for Brighton, he might come in and play with Hearts. Aberdeen are putting money in. Hibs are selling players and buying players. So it's not just about Rangers. Don't worry about us. They don't worry about everybody else as well, because their teams will be better. So we still need to be sharp. Listen, don't take that off the ball, but it's a European side, JP, that I want us to be progressing, because see if we keep doing that, like you say, there's more money involved. It's more publicity for the club, publicity for players as well, for selling values, because if we don't do well in Europe, JP, you know, just say we get out of Europe, right? I know we're in the group stage Europa League no matter what, right?
Well, we're guaranteed group stage football regardless in Europe this season.
But if we want to finish second, right, a season, and then we didn't win the playoff, or we didn't win a qualifier, and you might get in the Conference League, right? What players are want to come in that, JP? Do you know what? We'll just turn up and play the conference. We'll just win the league at Celtic. But if you're in the Champions League and you're scoring the Champions League, you're winning the league, you're winning doubles, you're winning trebles, you're winning leagues by so many points, teams will start going, wait a minute here. He's got 5 goals in the Champions League. He's got 6 assists. He's got 15 goals in his league. He's won a treble.
Well, in my opinion, that's how Nicholas Kuhn's getting recognition from RB Leipzig, who's also his former team.
It helps the club if they're in Europe. Players are performing because 2 or 3 years they're away. So this is why I keep saying about sometimes you need to pay a bit more money. If it is an Engels money, or Anita money, or another guy for 50, just say £50 million, right? Just say it's Kitcher's Garden, right? £50 million is your main target. Bromby want £50 million. Go and buy him, because you know that his goals might get you through to the knockout phase. They might win you a treble, and the more goals he scores, his value is going to go up. So right away, just say next year, right, he signs JP, right, and he scores 25 in the league, and he scores 4 in the Champions League, right? Just say, or the Europa League, right? And you win a double, right? He's not worth £50 anymore. He's 30 plus. He's 25. So right away, what you pay for him, you're getting it back. And he's won you trophies, and he's got you success. So for certain players, that's the model you need to go, because just think about it, right? The new it seems a lot of money, but if this guy does what we think he's going to do, it's pennies, because we've spent nothing. We'll get it all back the next year or 2 years. But no, I agree with you, mate. I think that if we aim for Europe, I think, like I said in the Monday or last week, the league will take care of itself, because if you aim for that, the players in the squad will be good enough to then challenge in the league.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, James Kennedy says, don't worry about other teams. We need to be stronger this season. We already are stronger, in my opinion, James, with the signing of KT. That alone makes us stronger, mate. And we've also signed Ross Doohan. And we're just about to announce another couple of signings in Benji Negrin and Callum Osmond. So, in my opinion, mate, we already are stronger. I'm going to stick my neck in the line and say the boy Negrin's an absolute belter. I've seen enough and done enough due diligence now to have that opinion of him. And you don't get a game with Sweden if you're an umpty, Ryan. You must have something about you, mate, to even get near that level, because guys like Isaac and a lot of good players in that Sweden team as well, mate. Do you know what I mean? And there's a young lad, I firmly believe he's Swedish, also plays for Copenhagen, just about to make a big move somewhere. I can't remember off the top of my head where it is. I can't mind his name, but I can see his face. Again, he's just about to make a big move to a well-known team. I can't remember the name of it now. God, that's annoying me. So again, there's talent in these kind of leagues, and talent coming out of these countries, and it's about how you explore them. I've always been an advocate on here, a Celtic's transfer model, Ryan. The way we do things, the way we go about things, how we operate as a business, and like you've mentioned at the beginning, we're doing things fast.
Is it the guy Ronnie Bajardi or something?
That's it, mate. Yep, that's it. Well done.
He's meant to be going. There's talk about him going to Barcelona.
There we go. So, young lad, Swedish, probably not well known to a lot of fans, but he's gone to Barcelona. I knew it was a big team, and I just couldn't remember off the top of my head there. It totally escaped me, but there you go. So there's a prime example of. So the Barcelona fans will be sitting, kind of going, right, what's happening? Do you think they're sitting going, who's this boy? Or do you think they're going, look forward to signing this boy? What do you think, Ryan?
I think because of the way they work, JP, they'll probably just trust the recruitment thing. They'll just, I think because they've got a lot right in the past, and they've always got the recruitment pretty right recently. Obviously, won the league, mate, as well, so they've got to trust the manager. They've got to trust the
Well, I'll flip back to you, Ryan. The players that we're signing are churning out doubles, trebles, So when does it become a point where our fans start to trust what's going on there?
I think in terms of, even that, again, you can play devil's advocate. I know the players we signed, Engels, etc., trust they helped us win the league and stuff, but realistically, there was only two guys really played out all the signings, and it was Engels and Casper. So in terms of starting players, the recruitment wasn't great. But in terms of squad-wise, it helped the squad and it helped us in the Champions League.
They all made contributions, though.
Aye. In terms of that, it was good. So, but what I'm looking for this summer is guys to come in and start. Not just guys to come in, play 2 games, go out for 5. I want guys to come in and start and put a challenge up to guys like either Maeda, even Forrest. Listen, this is not against James Forrest, because James Forrest has been a tremendous servant. But a 33 come off a 34 James Forrest shouldn't be one of your first options to play with Celtic. We should be signing with somebody who's younger to come in and play. That's the James Forrest. It's on the recruitment team. But even Yang, guys might think Yang is good, which is fine. I don't. But listen, that's absolutely fine. But having Yang and Forrest there behind Kuhn and Jota, for financially that we've got, we should be trying to be better than that. That's the one they do. That's on the recruitment team to find guys like that to help the team. But I'm wanting us to find starters. Listen, we all know it's a sport game.
Is there such a thing nowadays, Ryan? Is there such a thing in terms of a guarantee for a guy to come in and start?
There's no guarantee, but for me, Kieran Tierney is a guarantee to start of the week when he's fit. Just about. For me, KT knows that.
Yeah.
KT knows there's nobody in that club that's better than him to play left back, or there's nobody they can sign to play left back. So
what about Negrin?
Potentially. I say potentially. The only reason we're getting him for that cheap is because his contract situation, not because he's no good enough, or because he...
And that's where, by the way, that's where the club don't get enough credit in terms of way they do deals.
But I don't know much about this guy. I've only watched him a few highlights on clips on YouTube. His data looks phenomenal.
That's
data doesn't mean he's good. Listen,
no,
data
100% no, but his videos do. His videos do.
And even stats. Listen, I could be a striker who scored 20 goals, but I can score 20 tap-ins. It doesn't mean that I'm good.
Yeah.
It just means I've got a knack for scoring goals, aye, but my all-round play could be terrible. So stats-wise, I could look amazing value, but on my all-round play, I could go, you know what, he's actually not that good. He is maybe just a guy to come off the bench. And so I believe listen, just been and playing myself, I do feel there's guys in a team that are guaranteed to play every week, depending on injuries or suspensions. But for me, Cam McGregor plays every week, every single week. I think he knows that. I know he won't say that, but there's nobody better McGregor in Celtic right now that's better than him in that position. And he's a captain, so he's always going to play. It's probably the same with Tavernier. I know they've signed the boy Aarons across the road, but if he's a captain, he'll play most games. Captains, it's the same. Captains play most games. It's just the way it is. Even though you might be no good enough. Maeda's probably start every week, depending on injury suspensions. Vickers every week. Johnson every week. Schmeichel probably every week. So I do believe, this is just my opinion. I know you might be different, but I do believe there's 4 or 5 guys every week that are nailed down to play, depending on injuries or suspensions or how they feel themselves or sports science these days. Guys like McKibben, do you know what? I might only play one every 6 starting, but I know I might come off the bench, and I think he'll be happy with that because he's playing with Dundee to Celtic. I think he'll be happy with that. Obviously, he's wanting to try and play. Listen, you've got to believe you can play every week, but there'll be guys in that team that'll be comfortable with playing the odd game and getting minutes because, listen, if they went to other teams, they're going to get a sniff. So sometimes you need to be happy with what you're getting because if you went elsewhere, you might get nothing. So, but I do believe there's guarantees for certain players, mate. No, every player's guaranteed. You still need to fight your place. You still need to train hard because if training level's only good and your attitude's no good, you will be rotated if you're no at it. But in terms of ability wise, I think there's players, JP, that will play most weeks unless there's a drop off and injuries or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I'll let you answer this one. Plunge says, has Negrin signed? I'm worried he will go elsewhere, especially as he's so cheap. Even Sevco could sign him, get him signed pronto.
Personally, Plunge, we can only go on what we've seen. As far as I'm aware,
Fabrizio Romano put out a very detailed.
It's not something, Plunge, that we can really. We can't help you, mate. We can only go by what we've seen in the media. There's been
Fabrizio Romano has said that he's officially he's signed for Celtic and his contract
announced for the clubs. So
his contract is until 2029 with the option to go to 2030 as well. So
honestly, Plunge, I don't know, mate. I really don't know. I just know that officially, according to some big sources in the media, he's signed. It's just announcing them. Listen, they could get it wrong. And it turns
if anybody also wants to find out about Callum Osmond, I suggest you tune into the Tosh McKinley podcast. It was on the Let's Be Frank with Frank McAvenny and the other big guy does that. I'm really sorry, I forgot his name now. Tosh actually tells the boys, and that must have been a recent chat with them as well, Ryan, because Tosh actually tells the boys he's obviously scouting for Celtic. So he was part of the Callum Osmond deal, and he alludes to that deal's done as well. It's just, again, about the club announcing. But Celtic fans seem to be worried just now, Ryan, about Celtic not announcing this and not doing this. Celtic haven't even returned yet. We're back in, Plunge, that's it, Simon Houston. I was going to say Simon, but then I didn't want to make a brass neck of myself, Ryan, so I didn't want to say anything at all and just not look stupid. But I'm glad I was right in terms of the Simon. I just couldn't remember his second name. Simon Houston, it was. Tosh is on that, and he tells the boys on that, Ryan, which I found it quite interesting, to be honest, mate, about how I didn't even know Tosh was back in at Celtic scouting. So he's back in the scouting team, mate. Just shows you. See, I've got a big network of staff here, mate. And he tells you he was part of the team to get young Callum Osmond. And going with the way Frank McAvenny was talking about a guy he knows from down south in London, and going with the way Tosh, they're quite excited to see the boy being the Celtic, mate, because Tosh says, I think we've got a really good one here. And that was the way he worded it. So, yeah. I'm I'm kind of looking forward to that one as well. But any Celtic fan at all, maybe worried about that. I think the way Tosh was talking, and yeah, Scott, it was comical as Scott says there, Ryan. He was hilarious on the podcast for anybody that's not seen it. But that wee bit of information regarding Callum Osmond, that was my point there regarding that. That alludes to that, that lad has signed. It's just again Celtic haven't put anything out.
Aye, well, Ross Doohan was signed about 3 weeks ago, and then it just got announced the other day.
Yeah.
So who knows? Listen, we're only privy to what we see in the media. We're no in the know with Celtic. We've not got a clue what goes behind the scenes. So if I know the man who's got one or two rang, and he's how many years he's been a journalist, or been one of the biggest journalists. So in terms of the guys coming in, we can all go by the media and what journalists say, and by the sounds it's done. It's just
Romano doesn't get much rang, mate. I know you've
no.
said he gets one or two hangs. Maybe it doesn't happen at last minute. But right now I'm not even panicking, Ryan. I'm not even thinking about it. And the plunge, obviously, saying he hopes he doesn't go elsewhere. I don't even think we're even at that heat space yet, are we?
Look, mate, I'm not. Like I says, I'm quite calm on the transfer situation, mate. I'll be a bit more, no worry, but I'll be a bit more alarmed if it gets to maybe a week, 10 days before the playoff, and we're sitting with for the same squad. Then I'll be like, right, that's not a good look, because ideally you should be, your team should be ready for that, because the league starts before then. I think so, roughly. So we need to be prepared. You should be prepared for the first league game. So the playoff should be fully prepared. So no, listen, look, I'm pretty calm about having the club on now, JP. I know fans last year probably would have said different about me on here, but I'm pretty calm in the situation. I don't see any negativity towards the club right now as it stands. I don't see any reason for fans to be alarmed or negative or worried. Just it's listen, seeing the next few weeks and there's no any signings confirmed, then I'll go, right, listen, what's the hold up here? Why are we not getting some of the wingers we wanted or this? Then we'll start maybe being a wee bit like, okay, here, this is no good. We've got a playoff
Yeah.
soon. But until then, mate, I'm pretty calm, and I'm just excited to see about the players come back and see how hopefully some of the videos came out. But one thing I do want to mention before we do go, JP, is we could probably talk about it for an hour or two as another podcast, but I'm a bit annoyed about the club about seeing like the fact we've not done any pre-season friendlies, right? But then telling you need to subscribe to TV to watch the friendlies and things like that, and just again, mate, I just think there's just give something back a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? I think the fans have earned something back. If it's the Queen's Park game for nothing for away fans, or it's for nothing on Celtic. Friendly should be free, JP, on Celtic TV, in my opinion, mate. This should be for nothing. Even if it's even if I know I'm a book holder, but I know fans on there, and it's not just on them. But if you're a book holder at Celtic Park, and I know it's a business, you should get Celtic TV for nothing, or you should get something. If it's to watch your B team games, certain friendlies like the Como friendly should be for nothing to watch, because it publicises the club as well. It puts you out there as a fan. Oh, there's I might actually go to a game now because it's for nothing. It's just maybe it's just me, mate. It's not a big top point in the I'm just wanting message. I've seen they put out the list for the friendlies and the fixtures, and I just think it's a bit poor that they're no giving us either a discount offer even as a fan base, but maybe that's just me, mate.
Yeah, that's it. Well, obviously, as you were gabbing away there, mate, I took the time to have a wee look in the comments, and I thought our part was decent in here, mate. And I think we let a good laugh and a carry on, but it seems to be we've got a joker in the pack tonight. He says, "Ha ha, Celtic are finished. The tide is turning, Timmy's." Now, I'm assuming that this person probably walks about with a mask on or some sort of hood up. Because they've even took the time to take a selfie, and it's just a dark picture there. So I always find it really, really, really refreshing, Ryan, when you see comments like that coming in, because we must be doing something right. first and foremost, we must be, Celtic must be winning, must be in charge. We must be, we must be totally dominating as we know we are, and we're we're getting some of these comments. My advice is, you know, I can level with you there, Scotland or whoever you are, because to be fair, I tune into Barcelona and Real Madrid. I like watching big teams as well, so I tune into things as well. So I can level with you there. But thanks for boosting the views and the comments, and if you've got time, man, just hit the like button and subscribe and um, enjoy a successful conversation, because aye, it'll be a while before you get a lot, Ryan. Obviously, when you get comments like that, mate, I don't know how you feel, mate, but I always find it quite refreshing. I mean, obviously he's continued on with the chat there. The famous RFC, we welcome the chase now. Now I don't know if that's obviously still meaning that he expects a challenge for second, because obviously they're looking for, they're welcoming the chase. Obviously they ran away with second place last season. We expect Hearts and that to be better, mate. So what's your thoughts there?
Maybe he's talking about the welcome to chase for Bradley Walsh or something. I don't know. Saying that it's maybe it's 15 minutes to Love Island on ITV2 Plus, so maybe he's just chilling on YouTube before he go and watches Love Island. Maybe that's a cup of tea. I don't know. But if you watch the Celtic podcast, as you'll find, mate, then fire away, like away. Enjoy.
Fair enough.
Mate.
He then puts on the best comment of the night, I think. He says Celtic fans are going to be broken this year and I'm here for it. Well, to be fair, right, I'll let you in a secret, Scotland. I don't know how often you've tuned into the podcast, right, but our sides are killing us. We're laughing at you. Like, I mean, Ryan, Big Alan's, he's had 2 operations on his chuckle muscle. He's laughed that hard there the last couple of years. It's amazing, Ryan, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I just don't know why you would comment on a Celtic podcast. Listen, if that's your forte and if that's what you call your guilty pleasure, and you want to comment on Celtic podcast, and fire away, listen, look. Give us a wee like, give us a wee subscribe, keep commenting, it puts us out, mate, so fire away. Just remember, I've got an OnlyFans at 10:30, mate, if you want to subscribe to that as well. I don't discriminate in anybody at all. You can fire away. It's £9.99. No, I don't know if you can afford that, because you can't afford the face painters. So I don't know if you can afford to see some content. But listen, enjoy your night. It is Wednesday. It's hump day. So go and fire away and enjoy.
I've actually heard he doesn't get hackneys or phone any hangneys because he's barred for, because he don't pay taxes, apparently.
Normally we give you a wee block, Scotland, but you gave us a good laugh a night to the end of the show, so I'm happy with that. Listen, fire away, enjoy your week, and keep safe, Sherlock, and enjoy yourself, mate. Fire away.
Yeah. It's usually coming to that time, Scotland, where I'll just obviously tell you before your big alarm goes off, it's medication time. So it's at that point, mate. It's nearly 10 o'clock now, and it's your granda, Charles Green will be chatting my door shortly to make sure you've took your.
I think Mrs. Begg will be rounding her round soon, I think, as well.
Mrs. Begg, aye. She'll be in with the wee trolley. But make sure you've had something to eat, son, with your chicken tikka sakala, light bites, know what I mean, for nights.
Just remember your starter at buffalo wings, buffalo wings, man.
Aye,
good luck. I enjoyed that.
And a wee salad Dessers dressing over the top of it, man, that'll sound lovely, I think. Tremendous.
But in terms of, obviously, overall, JP, in terms of outgoing Scottish football, I think it's a topic to talk about again, and maybe people might say outgrown's the wrong word, but I can agree with you on it, because if we prioritise Europe, mate, not prioritise it, but the signings, if we prioritise signing for Scotland, the league, sorry, then I've always said that I think it comes together for the league, because if you focus for a bit higher than that, then it should come down to the league and you should be
Yeah.
fine. So, like I says, mate, I'm all fine about the club. Everything's fine for me. I'm just going to let the club do their work behind the scenes. Let the manager go on with his business. I know the team's back on Friday. Hopefully, there's some content for the fans to see about the managers and interviews and stuff. And we'll just go for him, mate.
Yeah. What about the terms of the return? Just before we finish up, obviously we're ready to. So, terms of what you mate's looking forward to. I know you're dying to see KT and all that kind of coverage and everything else, as we all are. But what players have you got any idea for players, Ryan, and players that you think off the top of your head, mate, that will kick on again next season and maybe go to a different level?
Probably, well, anybody who watches this and knows me personally, I'm a big fan of Engels, so I'm kind of wanting him to kind of be that to doubters. Listen, I'll
Yeah.
do what I need to do. Like I says, I called it last year. I could be wrong, but I think he's got a very high ceiling, the guy. He's a young guy. He's came from a foreign country, different culture, different playing football, playing different times of the week, not just once a week on a Saturday. In the odd cup game, he's playing European football every second or third week, etc.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be a big name player for us next year. Listen, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong, and I've been wrong in the past. I'll be wrong again. But I think Engels, I'm looking forward to seeing him kicking on, and just maybe starting as authority maybe next year. Because I think last year he basically always playing his position. I think his position would be what I think will be potentially in the middle, just doing what he's got to do, right in the middle in the team, and just doing his running power and stuff for me. I'm hoping Ida does a bit better his all round play. Trusty as well. I'm going to give Ida and Trusty to Christmas time if they don't buck up their ideas for me overall. I'm going to say, listen, right, we need to look at better. I'm going to give him time. I know Ida's goals are good, but his all round play for me has got to be a bit better. But for me, Engels, JP, but KT, mate, I can't wait to see KT playing.
Aye.
But Engels, mate, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm looking forward to see Engels push on, mate.
Yeah, obviously, I think, bearing in mind, by the way, none of the two lads you mentioned with Engels and Ida, none of them, even the time that Ida's been with us, he's not yet done a pre-season with the team yet. Neither has Bernardo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm looking for Bernardo. He's another one I think will really go to a different level next season. I think Bernardo will show a different side to him. Luke McCowan, possibly as well. Looking for maybe a bit more development. We look there, and Engels obviously. Ida, you know I love Big Ida Ryan. I think with a pre-season, a way of working under Brendan, all that kind of bedded in with a big man. I think you'll see a different side to Ida next season. What I want to see, and I think he's capable of. And I know you don't, mate. I know we've kind of had our differences in opinion there. I've been a big advocate for this guy for day one, and I've kind of been like to Celtic fans, lay off him, you know. And I know I keep having even a joke with your old man about it, mate, every time I think about him and I mention him, but I think Yang will go again. I think I've just got a feeling, mate. I don't know why I keep getting this thought, mate, but there's a feeling in me that all the ones that signed with Yang, Ryan, are all there. They're all away. Every one of them are all gone. The only one that's left is Yang. The Rodgers has kept playing him. He's playing him in big games. He's playing him in important games. He's giving him minutes, and he's trying to develop him. I do think if Yang can stay injury free with a decent pre-season under his belt, mate, I do think there's a player there, and hopefully we'll get to see it, because there's not one, even though Celtic fans might turn around and say, Ryan, I don't think he's good enough. There's not one Celtic fan that would love nothing more, in my opinion, Ryan, for a gang to bounce into the equation next season and everybody to go, wow, well done, me, man. Yes, here we go, we've got a player. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the boys again. I think there was a comment earlier about how much they've been missed and everything else. I think it's the same every season when we get to this time. And yeah, Barry McCandless, another contributor to the show, a fit and firing Jota. Although I do think it'll be after the festive period, I'm afraid. We'll probably not see Jota till, which is really unfortunate. But then, Ryan, I think at least a good half of the season will be done. I don't think Jota will be ready for the near future, mate, which is a shame. It was a really bad injury he got. But I get where Baz is coming from. And we'll just need to wait and see how it goes. But I think we're all looking forward to like you say, Friday, mate, to when they come back, start seeing photographs, videos of even KT walking through the door again and looking at them in the colours again. And hopefully by that time, mate, we'll have one or two more new faces as well to talk about.
Hopefully, aye. Who knows, mate? Friday might be they're announced. I'm guessing Rodgers might do a presser on Friday or Monday or whatever, or it might be going about next week before the Queen's Park game. But I'd imagine he'll get asked about certain things as well on that as well. I'd love Jota to be back sooner because him and KT are just, or even Maeda doing that side, it's frightening me. And if you're either or if you're Maeda up front, if it is Jota or whoever it is out wide, if you can't score goals, you're at left hand side, then you're going to struggle because KT for me is an old fashioned fullback, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Yang again, it's all about opinions, mate. But I'm kind of done with Yang. I don't think he's good enough to be a starter every week for Celtic. He's okay domestically, coming off the bench and contributing here and there. But I think if we're talking about aiming for European football, we're aiming to outgrow Scottish football and being better, I think we need better than Yang. But listen, I hope he has a brilliant pre-season and I hope he starts the season flying. I'll go, fair enough, big man, whatever you've done in pre-season, you've done well and brilliant. I hope it continues. I want to see every guy do well, but he's been here, 2.5 years now. He's not really put his stamp on the team. He's not really playing every week, so it's probably going to take a good pre-season, mate, for him to play every week. So, but listen, I hope he does, and we'll just need to see how pre-season shapes up, mate, and how the summer progresses.
Yeah, 100%. For anybody that wonders what's happening in terms of pre-season, where Celtic are going, what they're doing, I'll just put it up for you just now. I'll take away that banner at the bottom so you can all have a wee look at that. So basically, Celtic's pre-season matches kick off the 4th of July there against Queen's Park. On the 8th of July, we take on Cork City. On the 12th of July, we play Estrela de Amadora over in the Algarve. We continue on to Portugal through in Faro. We play Sporting Lisbon. That's on the 16th of July. Then we're at Celtic Park. Back to Paradise where we take on Newcastle. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff in the afternoon. We're then over to Italy where we take on Ajax. And then it's Como Cup third place playoff, which is on the 26th of July, followed by, if we're that lucky, the Como Cup final, which is the next day. Ryan, just before we go, mate, some juicy fixtures there, mate. Again, some really good names in there. Ajax, Sporting Lisbon, Newcastle. I think that's, again, great management for the football club. Obviously, for us to sink our teeth into in terms of the Champions League playoff, Ryan. Really good opposition. We're playing teams who are going to be in and around Europe this season. So I think that can only stand us in good stead.
It's good opposition. You'll probably see as well with some of the formations or the way we're playing, how they're going to set up for the season. It's a lot of football in pre-season, as G Doc just says there. It's like 8 games in 24 days. It's a lot of football, but I'd imagine that'll be managed with certain players only play certain games, etc. Some good competitive games, and then they've got the league and then they've got playoffs. So it's it'll build the players up well for the pre-season, and we've no excuse not to be prepared for the playoffs now. We've no excuse because you've got a lot of good games. your league should be started, your recruitment should be just about done by then. So if potential disaster happens, you don't qualify for Europe, there'll be no excuse for the club because I've had every single avenue to be prepared. So yeah, looking forward to watching the games as well. Love to see Celtic play. Hopefully some of the signings can get some game time as well, and we can see how they are. And yeah, we'll just look forward to the games and look forward to the league starting, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what we all are looking forward to, the league starting and the football coming back. That's all we do have time for tonight, folks. We do appreciate everybody that's tuned in with us. I hope you are all having a great time and a great week. You seen them in the comments tonight. Big Barry McCandless. We will be back on the channel for you. As usual, see it on Friday. Unfortunately, it won't be live. It's going to be pre-recorded. It'll be myself and Big Barry McCandless for some more Celtic chat. But that'll go out on Friday. So just keep an eye on social media and in the community section of the YouTube channel for the time of when that will be. Due to circumstances, that is, folks, we unfortunately won't be live on Friday, but an episode will be going out anyway. And it'll be myself and Barry McCandless that'll be doing that for us. But for the time being, Ryan, same again, mate. Cheers for your time. It's been a good wee chat again, mate.
Always, mate. Always good to be on and get a good chat with yourself, meeting the viewers. So, but yeah, like JP says, back on Friday. Obviously, unfortunately, can't be live. But please like and subscribe to the channel if you do like the content. Every like subscription helps us get guests on for the season, which we're hopefully trying to get in the season. So it helps every avenue for us and to do this for you guys, as free of charge as well. So your support helps us, and we try and put that back to you as well. So all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, we're all on there. So please subscribe, and if you like the content, if you don't, just like you say anyway, it helps us.
Yeah, FTB in the comments asking, do we need to pay for all the games? Well, all the games aren't at home, so Celtic aren't playing. I mean, Celtic are in Ireland, they're in Italy, they're in Portugal. So if you want to go and see Celtic, if you want to do it in person, then I'm afraid, yeah, Celtic aren't going to. They're not going to pay for you to be able to go and see them. In terms of the Newcastle game, that isn't free on the season book. It is £25 for an adult and £12 for a kid. I only know that because I'm taking my wee boy to his first game at Celtic Park for the Newcastle game on the 19th. So, but the rest of the games, they are on Celtic TV. So if you are a subscriber, you will see the only one that's not on Celtic TV, my understanding, Ryan, I don't know if you'll correct me here, is the Newcastle game. The rest of them are on Celtic TV. The Newcastle game isn't being shown on Celtic TV. I think it's near enough a sellout, Ryan, as far as I'm led to believe, because Newcastle definitely have sold out their allocation. So my understanding is there's only a certain section left, and it's in the upper stand of the Lisbon Lions. So that was one of my mates that told me that just a couple of days ago. So I don't know. As I said, I've already got my tickets for me and my boy, and my dad. My dad's going as well. So we're looking forward to that because it's a wee man's first game. But yeah, FTB in the comments, mate. If you're looking to go and watch Celtic elsewhere, then yeah, you'll definitely have to pay for that. But as Ryan says there, take care, folks, and we'll see you all again on the next one. Hail, hail, guys. Bye-bye.